We have all experienced a moment when a shift occurred, something that stopped us in our tracks and created a moment that led us to change direction, experience an awakening, or brought us much needed clarity. Tell me a story or empowering and impactful stories that changed everything. Join our host, Karina Felix, as she creates space for you to tell your story. And now, your host, Karina Felix.
Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Tell Me a Story. And today we have author Miss Carol Pilkington, who is also an astrologer. And today she is going to tell us her story. Are you ready? Take it away.
Thank you, Karina. It's such a pleasure to be here. Since we've been having a little bit of technical challenges, I have no idea what you were saying before I came on. So I just wanted to say that to the audience to be totally transparent. And we're just going to go with the flow. And that's what life is really about, being able to go with the flow no matter what happens in the present moment, just being with the moment. So, what changed my life completely? There are many things, of course, that changed my life, but there was a pivotal moment in my life where I recognized that I was the creator of my reality, that I was the authority of my own life. And the fear of understanding that I was fully responsible for everything that I had created unconsciously up to the moment where I began to take full responsibility for everything in my life. It was incredible. Fear runs us until it doesn't. We come into the world thinking that we are the only ones in life, that we are the only ones that exist. We are the center of our own life. And then we are introduced to other. And that in itself can be a scary proposition, a scary encounter. And then we are conditioned and programmed, and we have no control over that from our parents, their upbringing, culture, society. All of those things go into us absorbing the fears that we have about being human. And it takes time to unravel all that. And some never do. As a child, I always questioned where I came from. What am I doing here? What does it mean to be human? And those questions stayed with me in a very, very powerful way. And the more I went out into the world, the more fearful I became. Because literally, I was meeting everyone else's fear. We each meet one another with our fears. But I didn't know that, of course. No one does until we begin to go on a path. We're not even calling it a path of self-discovery. What really matters to me? What does it mean for me to be in the world? When I began taking a really deep look into my fears, my life began to change. I could no longer say, "You did this to me," or "You said this to me and that hurt me." I began to take that on in a very visceral way, to the point that I was able and have been able at a higher velocity to say, no, I get to choose. I get to choose how someone else's actions and words affect me, and to allow them to affect me or not. That's huge, because when we can break down our own walls of fear, we can actually begin to see the walls of others' fears. And we can begin to meet them where they are without our own fears getting into the mix. There was a time when I stood in my room, and I remember this so very clearly. And you might relate to something like this. I was standing there saying that life is so hard. And right in the middle of the sentence, I said to a voice said to me, "No, it's not. You make it hard." It's like this voice overpowered that belief system and came in loud and clear. Because as I looked at my life up to that point, I had gotten a lot of assistance and I had gotten a lot of support. But I kept telling myself, life is so hard. I can't get ahead. I can't, and so on and so forth. Until all of a sudden, this loud voice said, "No, you make it hard." And that was a very pivotal moment in my own journey as well. Because then I began to see all the evidence of where I had been helped, of how I had been supported. And I stopped saying that to myself. And I went deeper into my journey to appreciate and accept and stop resisting the actual assistance and support that I was getting. You know, sometimes we're so ornery and so hard to see what's right in front of us. And we resist it because we are conditioned to do things on our own, to be self-sustaining, to be self-sufficient, because otherwise we are considered weak. Well, we're not weak. Everyone on the planet needs some support and some assistance and guidance at some point in their life. We don't get through this human existence alone. It's just not possible. That was a very, very pivotal moment for me as well. And then as I started breaking the walls down of my own fears and really delving into what made me fearful, just existing in the world, I was afraid to go out into the world and be with people. I was afraid of being judged. I was afraid of being hurt. I was afraid of, everything in the world. I went on a retreat one time, and I had to be blindfolded and guided through uneven terrain. There were steps, there were rocks, and all kinds of things. and this person, and we couldn't talk to each other. So it was just a matter of trusting this person that was guiding me through this uneven terrain that couldn't talk to me, but only was able to nudge me or, um, touch me with regards to how I needed to step. It was really an amazing experience because it enabled me to just fully be present in the moment with this person, to be prepared to feel or sense her um, guidance. And that was another pivotal moment in allowing myself to be guided, in allowing myself to be assisted when I had no clue what was coming next. It was the first moment that had me take a look at the fears of the unknown. Most of our fears is about not being able to control what's coming next, right? We can never do that. And so when we let go of trying to control the outcome of things, trying to think of all the what ifs and could happen and all these things, and just rest in the presence of the moment and allow and trust that we have the instincts to deal with anything that is presented to us in any given moment. When we rest in the groundlessness of life that it really is, life gets easier and life becomes much, much simpler. And when I have been able to just rest in the guidance and allow myself to be led, things turn out so much better actually than I ever could have imagined. I don't know if it's something that you can relate to and how you might be dealing with it with your fears, but being able to do that, to rest in the unknown and allow oneself to be led where they need to go is such a peaceful feeling. And my life is so much simpler. And I'm really so grateful to be able to move to the other side of fear. I hope this has been super helpful for you. And and I hope that, you know, my message to you today has been one of courage, encouragement, empowerment, and it can also be so freeing to be able to live through and move through our fears can truly give us so much freedom to be present to the moment that we're in with the people in our lives and to create beyond our imagination. The world is our oyster, literally, and we get to create how it looks and what it's going to be. I'll tell you one more story and then I'll leave you with this. Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing you, Karina. Um, there was a point in my life that I was going through a difficult time with someone very close to me. And I could only count on myself. I couldn't talk to anybody about the situation because we were all connected. And I didn't want to influence anybody else's perceptions of this person. So I literally had to work things out myself. I wanted to blame this person. I wanted to make that person responsible for how I was feeling. And I kept pushing myself back on myself, saying, no, this is all about me. That person is going about their life and doing their thing the way they need to. This is about me. What do I need to see in me? Is it fear of missing out? Is it fear of not being seen, not being heard, not having a sense of belonging? And that is what really opened my eyes. Everyone wants to have a place that they belong and know that they belong, know that they matter. There was a point at which I felt like I had lost my sense of belonging. Where do I belong in this whole scheme of life? It cannot depend on another, is what I learned. I have to depend on my own self in such a way that I know that no matter where I am, no matter who I am with, I belong. I matter. I am my own authority. I am the author of my life, the creator of my life. And that gave me so much strength to face anything and be anywhere and be comfortable in my, truly be comfortable in my own skin, no matter where I was and no matter who I was with. So it takes courage, truly does take courage to go down that path and that journey of understanding that we don't really need other. And I don't mean that in the sense that we are not dependent on one another, but I don't need another to validate who I am. I don't need another to show me what my value is. When I learned and discovered and fully felt this in my bones that my life depended on me, that I belonged no matter what was going on in my life, that it wasn't dependent on another and what they thought and felt about me. I could truly just be fully with another. I could fully, truly be out in the world and be a whole being. It makes such a difference because I don't depend on another's opinion. I don't depend on another person to agree with me. I don't depend on another as to what they think or feel about me. I am whole and complete unto myself.
Wow. That's wow. It's also freedom. That's true freedom. And I think we're all can you hear me? Can can you hear me? You're hearing me through the phone, right? Okay, so we're gonna do this with you listening to me through the phone. But what I said, it's wow, because this is true freedom, right? And we're all looking for that freedom, but we don't understand what that freedom is. And I think you're correct. The freedom is when we are not dependent on someone else to validate us. Because as long as someone else is validating us, we're in shackles. We're still in prison. I'm sure you've read that the Four Agreements, and there's the part where they said, don't be attached to people's opinion. Oh, better said, when someone says something negative, not to be attached to that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, we're not allowed to be attached to good response either. Whether they say you're smart, you're beautiful, you're this, you're not supposed to have an attachment to that either. And that's very difficult.
It is, because we have been taught to to rely on other people's opinions. We're always asking for other people's opinions. Well, what do you think about this? We want agreement for how we feel and how we think. And when that happens, then we forget about who we are. We forget about what is valuable to us at an individual level. We become so reliant on external input
Yeah.
for everything. We want to feel comfortable. We want to feel like we belong with the group, right? But when we are so fully and totally comfortable within our own skin, we can come and go as we please and without feeling like we are losing anything.
And I think people have reached this point in their spiritual journey. The reason they feel alone is because people look at 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 us. I'm not sure. You're still hearing me, right? You might want to turn down your volume a little bit. Um, People start judging you because they think you don't care, or oh, what's wrong, what's her problem. And it's because you're not, like you said, you're not attached to their response anymore. And they don't always like that, because again, everyone wants to be stuck in the status quo. They want you to do exactly what they want so that they can feel comfortable. So it's really never about me, it's all about them. And so then I'm the selfish one because I am not doing what they want. But that's also selfish from their point of view. But again, it's, I think I just wrote an article about that not too long back. And it is about um, just being, comfortable in your own space, and not worrying with what people think, because they don't have your experience, they don't have your whatever you went through. And we don't know what they told them when we all were indoctrinated by our parents, and even our parents, family, friends wants us to behave the way they did, or the way they were taught to behave. But we're living a whole new paradigm now, so it's very different. Any last things you want to share with the viewers?
Yes, I I think it's going to be really important for people nowadays, with all that's going on in the world, to really take a deep dive into what is valuable to them.
Right.
It's so important to understand and know our own value system, not based on any external sources. We
Right.
have to find our own way. That does not mean, like I've said before, that we can't ask for guidance when we really need it, because we all need guidance.
Oh yeah.
When we can begin to learn and know our own self and have clarity and have rootedness, a center, then we have discernment as to who that right person might be
Right.
to guide us on a journey, to ask for input, not out of desperation.
Right.
Because when we're so fearful that we don't know our own center and know our own values, we begin to grasp and we begin to become very desperate
Right.
to get input from every different source
Right.
that we can find. And
Carol,
then we
I have a
just
I
such
have a really
chatter in the brain, in
I
the
got a
mind.
really deep question for
So
you,
we just
because
need to be able to trust and allow for our own process.
can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you just really fast give an example? And because I'm kind of going through this myself, that when you reach this level of spiritual development, that you realize you don't need anything, and you don't need anyone. and we're working so hard, like you say, and taking responsibility. Anything that happens to me, it's my fault. Doesn't matter what happens, my fault. And but doesn't it get a little difficult living in this earth? If that makes sense, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yes, I do. And I don't like to use the word fault because responsibility and blame are so not the same thing. So it's important for us to begin to language correctly, accurately. And what I'm what I experience in this world is that everybody has their own reality tunnel, you know, and when we can meet other where they are and not project our own beliefs or perceptions of the world onto another, then we can be with other in a little bit more harmoniously.
Right. Yeah.
And it is difficult to be in the world, but it's also very magical
Yes.
and wondrous at the same time. So there's a paradox.
Yes.
We can't get caught up in the world and what's going on. Otherwise, we get so saturated with the negative that
Right.
it's really important to turn that off. And I'm not saying ignore it and avoid it or deny that it exists. I'm just saying that there's just so much that we can take
Yeah.
in.
Just experience it.
There's nothing really that we can do at a
Right.
mass level. Each one of us has to do our own work.
Yes.
And that's the only way change happens
Yes.
existentially.
Thank you so much for coming on. And that was pretty deep. I would love to do something on this a little more, maybe in a different platform. But we're definitely going to do something a little bit more in this field because I think this topic is very much needed. So again, thank you so much for coming on, Carol. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here at Tell Me a Story. And what a story that was today. So thank you again, Carol Pinkleton, and thank you to everyone that has our viewers. And of course, all of our shows can be seen on tv.affidianinc.com. And see you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you for watching Tell Me a Story.